Welcome to the Bachelor Breakdown, where we break down the game of life.
Especially the games that men play.
I'm your girl, Erica.
I'm Ashley. Let's break it down.
That's right. Today we are going to be breaking down those friendships that go south.
It's the worst.
It's the worst. We've all
Don't
gone
you
through
think
this,
that
right?
when friendships end, it's worse than a breakup?
You know what? Okay, I was thinking about this. I was like, is it worse than a breakup? You know what? Maybe it is because not that I share more like personal information with my girlfriends, or maybe I do.
I feel like most of your friendships, well, in my experience, I feel like most of my friendships I've had before I ever had like a long-term, extreme long-term relationships. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have friendships that I've had for over 20 years, and one of them ended, sadly, and I feel like it was harder than my relationship ending. And
How long was that relationship again?
we were friends for 22 years.
So you guys go back to the playground. Okay.
Most of our lives. Like I've known this person since I was 11 years old, middle school,
Oh my
starting middle school,
gosh.
and we went through everything together. We all of middle school, high school, college, relationships, kids, her marriage, like all these milestones, and it was over like that. And I think the
So
hardest part of it was that we didn't have a conversation. We literally
that's the
talked one day
worst.
and we never spoke again. Like
I had a recent situation like that.
what?
And the friendship wasn't as long as yours. It was one of those friendships. I kind of also I love my friendships that I've had that have, lasted years, 10, 15 years, and I hold those relationships really close. But, as I get older, I'm very private, much more so private than ever. I'm
Mhm.
busy. So the people that I bring into my life now as an adult, like I want you in my life
Right.
because I really don't have time for
Right.
much. And if
Right.
I'm bringing you in, it's for me, I see you as someone who's an asset in my life. Like you make life better, whether it's our conversation, whether it's spending time, whether it's our shared interest. And so I had a friendship, I think it's been about 4 years, that all of a sudden she just kind of ghosted me. I would reach out, I would say different things, and she wouldn't communicate. And I found out through another friend that she had an issue, I guess, due to my lack of communication, which I'll say, yes, she was better at communicating, but it didn't mean that I cared less about the relationship or friendship there. It's just that I was going through something where I literally felt like I was trying to keep my head above water. And
Mhm.
even responding to DMs and text messages would give me anxiety because I just had so much going on emotionally, mentally, as well as with work commitments. That for me, every day was like, just let me make it through. Let me keep my head above water. And for
Yeah.
me, I felt this individual, I could go reach out and talk to her and say, hey, what's going on? But for me, I decided it's not worth it because if she valued the friendship, she would come to me as an adult and say, hey, girl, I'm really feeling like, I haven't seen you. Where have you been? You've been MIA. I'd love to hear from you more. And that would be my cue as a caring friend to say, okay, hey, I'm going through stuff, but I need to step up for my friend
Right. You
because
need to
she's
show up.
right. So is that kind of what happened with you guys?
I
Or,
just feel like so my personality is very much I can I can take a lot of stuff, right? And I don't feel like I'm an unreasonable human being. Like I realize like people have their own shit and people have dealt with their own trauma and people have gone through their own experiences in life that have shaped them into who they are. And it's not my position to judge, it's not my position to try to fix anything. And because I have a really informed perspective of
But
every.
really quick, I hate to interrupt you, but this is something you said that is so true with what you just said. You said it's not your responsibility to judge or this or that, but it's also not your responsibility to take someone's bad behavior and deal with it, right? You said that.
That's exactly it. And because of my own trauma, that was my programming. That was what I've always done. Like
Mhm.
accepted people's bad behavior as that's just how they are,
No,
which is not okay. Like it's
it's
not
not okay.
okay to just say, "Oh, that's just how they are."
No, because
No.
I hate to interrupt you, but this has me passionate right here because I always say, people say, oh, that's just how she is, or that's just how she operates. Let me tell you this, when someone respects something, when they hold it dear, you know how to act right. I say the best example is this: you can have a guy or a girl or a kid that wilds out and acts a fool, right? But if a cop or someone that can put them in a position where they, have to really pay for their actions is around, don't they act straight?
I agree. And it's like the
You know how
same
to
thing. It's like
control
that
yourself.
saying like people treat you, you teach people how to treat you.
100%.
I actually taught people that my needs didn't matter. They could say and do whatever because I was just going to tolerate it. So,
Mhm.
and I think in that friendship, it was like an unknown written rule that you can say and do whatever, and Ashley she just won't trip,
Yeah.
or
So you're taking responsibility for that.
I totally take responsibility for my part
Mhm.
and of the friendship ending because
Yeah.
I played a role in it. I feel like anytime anything ends, the people involved play a role in
100%.
it ending. Um, so it wasn't just like we stopped speaking and it was all her fault. No, I played a part in it, but also over the years, because I didn't speak up and say, "Hey, I don't like that," or
Mhm.
I don't like when you say this to me," or "I don't like when you do this." And part of that because I didn't feel like she could take criticism. Like I didn't feel like she could take me
You were
saying
coddling her,
I was
but
coddling
you were
her.
coddling her, but it came to your own detriment.
Absolutely. And because I didn't say anything and I allowed certain behaviors, and it was just, your relationships have those dynamics.
Mhm.
And when you don't speak up and when you don't voice what you need or what you want or what you like or what you don't like, any
Mhm.
relationship that sets you up for failure in the end.
And
So,
the truth is, you made a good point there, is what came to my mind is that, you were trying to appease her to be gentle with her, right? Because of your care. But as I've gotten older and I've been doing the work, I realize that if I value a friendship that's romantically or just, a friendship with someone, if I want to keep that, I've got to voice my
right.
issues from the get-go so we can get in there together, so we understand each other, so we can operate, so that we can keep this friendship going, so both parties are being seen and heard.
Right. And what I realize now is that I thought I knew what she could handle. Like,
Mhm.
when you think you know what someone can handle, I thought, well, she can't handle me saying how I feel. But maybe that was really just me, like,
Mhm.
not
Wanting to go there.
not wanting to go there, or being afraid that if she couldn't handle it, the friendship would end. So I just allowed certain things to be said and certain things to be done and just got over it. Well, it was, I guess, my final straw. It wasn't really my final straw. It was, we both had gone through similar situations in relationship,
Mhm.
right? And my relationship ended.
Mhm.
And it was how, what ultimately ended our friendship was how we showed up for each other and how we supported each other.
Mm.
We didn't meet each other's
It
needs.
was that game, it was at that the buzzer is about to ring, how'd she show up, right?
So when she was showing up for me, she was showing up how she wanted someone to show up for her. So when she was showing
Mm.
up for me, my relationship had ended, and she would say, "Oh, things will be fine. You'll get back together.
Mhm.
It'll all work out." When that's not what I wanted to hear. That's
No.
not what I needed to hear. But because I didn't say anything, that it was how she comforted and cared for and consoled me, but it didn't serve me. But because I think I'm, in the moment, at that time, I thought I was more spiritually involved. Some people like, and I've been guilty of this.
Yes.
When you go to therapy and you work on yourself, you think you're more emotionally mature or
Hmm.
more spiritually involved, and you can handle certain things, right? So when she was telling me like, "Oh, you'll be fine. You'll get back together. He'll realize things, and it'll all work out," I should have said, "That's not what I want.
Hmm.
That's really not what I want to hear.
And it's not
I
healthy for you.
it's not the relationship that I even want
Yeah.
anymore. And I don't need you to say that." Like, I should have translated that in
Hmm.
somehow to her,
Yeah.
but I didn't.
Hmm.
So in her time of need and wanting to be consoled and wanting me to show up for her,
You're giving her the reality check that you wanted.
I said to her what I wanted to hear, and she didn't want to hear that, and she was very offended that I said it. And because of it, because I was just honest, and it wasn't malicious, that what I said to her. Um, but I did explain, like, I can't tell you what you want to hear.
Hmm.
I can tell you what I feel, and I have to be honest with you, because I feel like in our friendships, like our close friendships should be mirrors, right? Or it should be
Of
safe
course.
places for people to share with us, one, what they see, but also what we don't even know. Like,
Yeah.
you don't know what you don't know. Like, I don't know
We're supposed
everything.
to water each other. We're supposed to help each
Right.
other grow. Like, that's what it's
Exactly. So
about.
I couldn't tell her what she wanted to hear. I had to tell her the truth from my perspective, and it blew everything up.
But the thing is, you can't be mad at yourself because you did, in my opinion, what was right. And unfortunately, that friendship ended. But that friendship might have ended because it has nothing to do with you. It could just be that she's embarrassed. Do you know what I mean? That she was embarrassed, or I don't know. Yeah, maybe she didn't hear what she wanted to hear. But at the end of the day, I think as a friend, you did the best that you could do with where you were coming from to try to help your friend.
Yeah.
So,
And I feel like, I think the hardest part was that everyone is like always looking for closure, right?
yeah,
We
it's true.
never had a conversation. Like,
Yeah.
we had our exchange,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I asked a few times, like, can we have a conversation? Like, never.
She was not receptive.
Not receptive. We never spoke since
And you
our
haven't run into each other, nothing.
no. We've been in the same spaces at the same time, not close together. Um, but no,
I
never.
mean, do you find, because you've been through heartbreak, in the romantic side, was this harder for you with this girlfriend that you've had of 22 years? Do you find that was harder than the romantic relationship for you?
Um,
Was it more so because there wasn't the closure that you just mentioned?
I feel like it was hard in a different way. I don't know if it was necessarily I don't know if it was necessarily like harder in the ways that they're very different. I feel like in my romantic relationship, we have children, we have to be around each other.
Hmm.
Um, so that's hard to navigate when there's so much there. But
Yeah.
with friendships, like with that, I feel like it was a clean break. Like, it still had to process the fact that we didn't get to have a conversation. And after 22 years, you just won't have a conversation with someone. That was hard to process.
Hmm.
I feel like it was hard in a different way, because this was someone that
You
was like a
confided in
sister.
probably.
Yeah, it was family.
Yeah.
And we've been around each other longer than the relationship that I was in. And I feel like that was like like of losing a family member.
Do you
Which,
feel like you're still going through it? Is there closure there for you, even though?
oh, it was closure, because I feel like no matter what, I'm
Hmm.
not unreasonable.
Hmm.
And even though we might we may have like even if we did have a conversation and we didn't see eye to eye and we still weren't going to be friends, like I I would have had a conversation,
Mhm.
right? The fact that I didn't even get a conversation, it informed me that what I valued in the friendship is not what she valued.
100%.
And when you feel like when you realize people don't value the relationship in
100%.
the same ways that you value it, you see
Mhm.
things a little differently, really
100%.
differently.
And that was the thing with my friendship that, and this is a big thing I think for a lot of people that are still going through this. It's like, well, how do I find closure? The answer is sometimes you're not going to. And finding closure is just letting it go, letting that person go, because it takes two in a romantic relationship and a friendship, any kind of relationship, work relationships, both parties have to be involved.
Yes.
And if one is not willing to speak or to take the time to communicate something that is bothering them or not, then guess what? That relationship is already broken. I'm not going to talk till I'm blue in the face to get across to you if you are not receptive. It is what it
Mhm.
is. I have a million things going on in life. I and the one thing I think you realize, because I know you're this kind of friend, and this is the thing that I realized with me. Whereas in the past, I would have gone and reached out this person and be like, "Well, what's going on?" And was now I don't do that. I don't have time for it
No.
because I've realized I know myself. I'm not the girlfriend that's going to text you every day. It's just not going to happen. I don't enjoy the phone. I'm not a talker on the phone. I might let's go break some bread because I love to eat, but let's go break some bread, get one on one, talk, or grab a coffee. But I am not a phone person. I am not a texter. I don't enjoy it. Okay. It's
Yep.
not me. Don't try to make me something I'm not. People who try, it doesn't work. Ask
Doesn't
my
work.
exes. Okay. So for me, I'm not that friend, but I am that friend that if you call me at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning or at
You're there.
midnight, I'm 100% there. I don't care if you're on the side of the road. I don't care if you're in jail. I don't care. I am there. I am ride or die when you need me. When
Mhm.
it's at the end of the play and you got to make that winning shot, that's me, boo boo. So for me, that's why I know who I am as a friend. I know where I lack in the communication part, but I'm very much so upfront about who I am. So I think it's once you realize what you bring to the table and who you are, it's much easier to just let those go because
I
there's
agree.
always a season and a reason, right?
I agree. And actually, getting to our scouting report,
Hmm.
according to a an article in Psychology Today,
Mm,
most friendships can be the reason why most friendships end can be categorized into four categories: selfishness, infrequent interaction, romantic involvement, and perceptions.
that is true.
And compared to men, women are more likely to indicate selfishness and romantic involvement as important factors in ending a friendship, which I think is right in alignment with your and mine experience. Because I do feel like I hate to label it selfishness, but when someone doesn't reciprocate or you can't be yourself or doesn't understand, for example, your schedule,
Hmm.
your life, when someone can't lend compassion and empathy and understanding to you,
Hmm.
um, it's bound to go to hell.
No.
But also, like, we didn't even talk about this.
What?
The way
What did
the
we
way
talk
men influence women's friendships.
Oh my gosh. Well, that doesn't happen with me. But yes, I've had friends that let that influence them. Or I've had
I
friends
will have
that
to
get
say
married and think,
I actually did that. I allowed my relationship to influence
Ashley.
my friendships because it didn't happen in the beginning, but
But it happens.
it happens. It's like you become so consumed with someone else's needs that
100%. And I get it. I'm
you
plain, but I totally
yeah,
understand
you
it
lose
happens.
yourself. You don't cultivate and nurture those relationships, or you're so miserable with the motherfucker that you with
I know.
that
I
you
know.
that you can't even realize or be happy for your friend who's thriving and not
You're exhausted
in a
trying to figure out
relationship.
your escape plan. Shoot. I mean, digging trenches to get out is exhausting.
It is, but I
So,
also feel like some women in relationships can be for example, if I'm single and I'm friends with someone who's in a committed relationship, I think there is tension that could build between the single friend and the married friend, because the single friend is like, "Hey, come on!" Like they remember the friend before the relationship.
But that's also that friend being mature enough to understand, okay, like, yes, you guys were girls back in the day, but things are different. They do
Hmm.
have a different priority now.
Yeah.
They've made a commitment to someone, the ultimate commitment, which is an absolutely beautiful thing, right? And
Hmm.
so as a friend, you have to respect that. They're not going to be at your beck and call. The other thing you have to understand, her husband or partner might not be down with them hanging out with your single butt who's ready to go to the bar. I mean, it's just understanding, once again, dynamics change. There's people are in your life for sometimes a season and a
Yeah.
reason, and you got to trust that. Um,
Yeah.
but like when you were in your relationship, do you feel like you kind of let some of your girlfriends down, or was it hard for you to navigate? Did you find maybe it made tension in your relationship, your romantic relationship?
I just feel like I did let a lot of my friends and family down. Like I prioritized my relationship so much,
Mhm, mhm.
and what my ex needed, because it was all me. Like if I didn't, then
You're saying it wasn't even your ex trying to put that on you, you did it. I think a
no,
lot of women.
I did it because I felt like if I didn't show up for him, not that I would be punished, but it would be a problem.
Mhm,
It
mhm,
would be a problem if I didn't show up for him in all the ways that he needed me or wanted me to.
mhm,
And that did, for example, like I would get invited to go on trips with my girlfriends or come to like my family stuff. And I would be like, "Oh, I can't because I have to go do this."
mhm. Well, the thing is, if this is another thing, I had a friend that she wouldn't do any girls trips or outings with us because she said, "Well, if I do it, I have to allow him to do it. And I'm not going to do anything with us because, you know me, like our fun is going to grab like a latte. Like we're very
Right.
PG."
Right.
Where she says him and his friends were going and maybe at the strip club and, getting the steak and lobster down at. So she
I,
was like, "I'd rather just not deal with it."
I didn't feel like that because my ex did whatever he wanted to do anyway. It didn't matter if I went with the girls or if I didn't. But
Mhm,
I think part of me in that situation was, oh, when he finally did want to do stuff with me, I
mhm.
need to be there.
Oh, I see. Mhm.
But now I'm like, and hindsight is 2020. You don't know what you
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah,
Again,
100%, 100%.
but I feel like a lot of the times he would only ask or want to include me in things when he knew I could be somewhere else with my friends. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I only got like included when another invitation
Mhm,
had been
mhm,
extended,
mhm.
which is fucked up
Yeah. Well, that's
because
the thing. People do that all along. It's just kinda like you'll be dating guys and all of a sudden they see you in a new relationship, then they pop up, right?
yeah.
They want so
Yeah, but I do feel like relationships and men
yeah,
play a role in
100%.
the ending of friendships, because
Mhm.
it's hard to navigate your home life with the man you love
It's so
and your friendships who your homegirls, like again, if you're close and they're safe spaces, your
Mhm.
homegirls are going to tell you, bro, you not acting the same,
Yeah.
or I see this, and if you
Mhm,
don't want to hear it and
mhm,
you shut it down,
mhm,
that is a perceived threat to your relationship,
mhm.
then you end the friendship.
I mean,
Because
have
one
you
thing I
ever.
know about women, they
Mhm.
usually stick by their man.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Have you ever felt like mom guilt? I feel a lot of, women that say they have kids, it's hard for them also to make time for their friends because I mean, you're a mom raising 2 kids by yourself. I mean, your schedule is insane. Like,
Yeah.
I'm exhausted thinking about your schedule. Do you and you're really good at making time though, I have to say. You're just great at it. But do you ever feel guilty like if you were like your kids are home and it's like your friends want you to go out, would you rather do you feel like mom
No,
guilt, like leaving
no,
the kids?
no, not never, never, never feel mom guilt. No, thank you.
No?
I have a lot of friends who do feel mom guilt,
Yeah.
but I feel like when my kids are older, when your kids are younger, maybe,
Yeah.
but I feel like my kids are older. They've had me to
Mhm,
themselves
mhm.
since they were born.
Yeah,
So now I feel fine. Like I'm with them all the time.
yeah,
Mom guilt doesn't affect me and my friendships. Like
that's good.
I and I've all of my like friends
Mhm.
have kids that are similar
Yeah.
ages. So we
Mhm,
either
mhm.
travel together
Oh, that's
or we're
perfect.
all trying to find. It is hard because I do have a lot of friends that live in different states. It
Mhm.
is hard for us to coordinate schedules
I can imagine.
in order to like plan something. Like I
Everyone's
have a friend
spring
who's
break is probably
turning,
different.
yeah, I have a friend who's turning 40, and she's like, we're like pick a weekend, but she's picked like 3 weekends, and we all have like something. And we're like, I don't know,
So it's,
but
yeah, hard to
we
coordinate.
get it, and I do feel that when you do have close connected friendships, and they understand, like you have a shared experience, they understand like the responsibilities that you have. They don't get mad at you when you can't show up. They understand.
No.
It's only when it is selfish, like all about
Mhm,
you all the time,
mhm,
that it becomes a problem.
mhm.
Um, but I mean, and it kind of leads us into our in-game adjustments. Like,
Yeah.
how do you, if your friendship feels off, like,
Mhm.
what do you do?
I
What
think
can you do?
I think you have to gauge it, and I think it's you said a lot of women mention selfishness as it. I think it's okay, especially if you're going through a season that's a little bit more turbulent,
Hmm.
to say, "You know what? I gotta shave the fat." And I don't mean that in a bad way, but sometimes you gotta cut the fat off, right?
Yeah,
And if someone is not feeding you, they gotta go.
I gotta go.
It life is too hard these days.
I mean, it is, and I feel like you don't need that
No,
added stress or
no,
pressure or expectation
because
to
we
meet
have enough.
someone's needs.
Right? Because we have enough commitments we can't change. You have a
Exactly.
commitment to be a mother 24/7. That job does not end, right? You have
No.
certain things that you have to deal with, right? To keep your world and your children's world going safe and sound, right?
Right.
So, if someone interferes with that ecosystem that you have created, that
Mhm.
safe place for not only you, but your children, if they come in and they wanna change it up, mm-mm, no,
Yeah.
you've got to go.
But you also have to be honest. Like I feel like if you're in a spot where you feel like your friendship is off or something's not right,
Well, you have to
or if
that's
you
what
were
I
like
mean,
me and you were like, I can tolerate this. This is fine. No, you have to be honest. You
engage
have to
it.
tell your friend how you feel. You have to put yourself in a vulnerable position to say and face the fear of, if I say this, if
Yeah.
I communicate this in an empowered, respectful, loving way,
Mhm,
they might not like it and they might stop talking to me, which
mhm,
you have to realize, if that is the case,
mhm.
how, how much did that relationship really serve you?
Yeah.
Was it helping you grow and evolve, or was it really keeping you
Mhm.
um, in, in a lower vibration?
Yeah.
Like, you can't accept someone's bad behavior
No,
because that's who they are,
no,
or you think that
100%.
they won't be able to handle your feelings or your truth,
Mhm.
because that is an indicator that it's not a healthy relationship.
And you just also have to trust your gut, and like I said, you have to gauge everything differently. What I was trying to say, and I didn't say it eloquently, was if someone is gonna mess up my ecosystem and mess up what I'm building for myself and my peace, sometimes I don't need to have a conversation. And as much as this friendship that recently ended bothers me, and I wish she had come and just said, "Hey, Erica, I wish you would do this,"
Yeah.
I also have to respect that she knows herself and she knows what's best for her. And maybe she felt, you know what? It's not even worth a conversation. I have to respect that. But since she's not coming to me, I have to say, you know what? She might just be at that place where it's not even worth a conversation for her. Now, does that hurt? Yeah, it hurts. I
Yeah.
adored her. I mean, she was so much fun, you know, very kind, very welcoming to me. But I have to respect that maybe for her, with what she has going on in her life, I'm just not feeding her where she feels it's worth it. And that's okay. And that's what you have to gauge for yourself. Sometimes it's not even worth a conversation.
And that informs you, and you take what you need and you
100%.
move on. And also realizing that like forever doesn't apply to all
It
relationships.
doesn't.
And relationships, they change over time. The dynamic of
Evolve.
them, they change over time. Everything evolves, right? And
Mhm.
it's It's like that saying, there are reasons and seasons that
for
people come into
everything.
your life. Some stay forever, some don't.
Mhm,
And realizing that as you grow and evolve, your circle will too.
mhm.
And all things end. Like we have this delusional thought that things last forever. No, everything ends. You're born, you're gonna die.
Mhm.
Um,
That's the one thing that we know for certain in life. That's
and
that's
just
what
because
we
something ends, and this is what I really want people to understand,
yeah.
just because something ends, just because your relationship ends, it does not mean that the love didn't exist
That's
or
true.
it's gone.
That is true. That's something I have to
Because
remind myself.
I believe that love is energy. It
Mhm,
can't be created, it can't be
mhm,
destroyed. We simply tap into
mhm,
it.
mhm,
And
mhm,
in your relationships, it expands them. And
mhm.
when the relationship ends, it just goes from like an active phase to an
Yeah,
inactive phase. Like
you're right, it
my
does not end.
it does not end. Like I feel like my friend that we were friends for 22 years, we're not friends anymore.
Mhm,
We will probably never be friends again.
mhm, mhm.
Um, but the love I have for her
Yeah,
didn't
and if
go
if
away.
she called you tomorrow, me knowing you, you're gonna still be there for her.
Probably not.
Okay. That's okay. It's
Probably
okay,
not.
because I'm sure there's more there deeper.
Yeah,
I
I
get it.
probably ain't gonna be there.
I
You
get
know what
it.
I'm saying?
That's okay.
But I don't hate her.
Yeah.
I don't, there's no bad blood. Like
Mhm.
there's nothing that I can say negatively about her. And I'm not going to. I'm not gonna say there's no, because there's love. There was love there in the beginning, and I feel like there's love there now. And it's just inactive.
Mhm,
You know
mhm.
what I'm saying? It's not like people think that when your friendship ends, you have to hate them or talk shit about them.
No,
No. No,
no.
no, 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 no. That's what you're not going to get from me. And I'm not going to do anything today that
Mhm.
I know would intentionally hurt her.
No,
Still not going to do it
100%.
because I feel like
Mhm.
who we were in that relationship was solid
Yeah, yeah.
with all the flaws and all
Mhm,
everything, right?
mhm.
All the dynamics. But I don't, you don't, if you ever love someone, just because it ends doesn't mean you don't love them anymore.
100%.
And you
And
don't have to go around intentionally harming them
or
or
never, yeah.
um, if it was real
Bad
love,
mouthing them or saying
bad mouthing them, right? If it was real love, then that's what it should always be.
100%. And there should just remain a respect there. My friendship that ended recently, and the truth is, I mean, I really haven't had many friendships that have ended. I've had it where like maybe we just grow apart and we might not talk for years, but we're
Hmm.
always the same when we come back. This is the first time where I had it where this person like was like, "I'm done with you," which I was like, "Oh, whoa, like I've never dealt with this." I'm like the cool one. Why don't you want to be friends with me? Like, what's wrong with you? But you have to like I had to get over my ego of it, and then I had to really put myself in her shoes and say, "Okay, she's someone who's very communicative. She
Yeah.
is a good friend." Okay, she probably felt like, here I am, like, and she was someone that when I moved to Miami, very much so took me under her wing. She
Hmm.
introduced me to her friends. She was not selfish in her time, very kind. Like she honestly made my experience in Miami what it was. So I'm going to always be grateful for her. I'm going to
Hmm.
always adore her. There's no one you're going to have more fun with. Like she's just fun.
Hmm.
But if she came to me today and acted like nothing happened, we both know what happened, I'd be cool with it. But I am not going to reach out.
Right.
And that comes with knowing my worth and
Hmm.
knowing that a friendship that's supposed to last, we got to both be willing to communicate.
Amen.
And also, I have to respect that maybe she doesn't want a conversation with me. Maybe she's just over me. I don't know why, but maybe she is. So you have to respect it,
You have to respect it.
and just
Everyone, you have
let
to
it go.
respect where everyone is.
And just let it go. It
Just
is
let it
what
go.
it is.
It is what it is. Life will go on. It
Can't put
has
it off,
to.
you know?
And you learn the lesson
Mhm.
and you move on.
Mhm. Yep.
But yeah,
This was good. This was
this is
therapeutic.
a good one.
I feel so much better. Because I was harboring this for a while. I was carrying. I was like, I'm fine. Forget her. But like it hurt. Like
It
I
hurts.
miss her. There's sometimes when I send memes all day when I finally go online. And sometimes I want to send her stuff and I'm like, well, she's just gonna ignore it. So I'm not gonna like reach out to someone that is not going to respond. Or on her birthday, I wanted to reach out, but I was like, why call someone that's not going to answer? And
Yeah.
I think it hurts more because there wasn't like a fight. There wasn't like, she did this and she did that and vice versa. There wasn't that. So it was almost like harder because there wasn't this thing of like, she was horrible. There was nothing, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's like the worst.
Those are
Those
the
are the worst
worst.
endings.
Those are
Yeah.
the worst. But
'Cause there's really no reason.
there's no
It's just,
reason. But then you just have to trust, like you said, there's a season and a reason.
yeah.
So it is what it is. Thank you, Ashley. This was so
Yeah.
good.
Thank you, Erica. Well, we hope, our goal today was to just chat
Yeah.
about, when friendship goes wrong.
Yeah.
And sometimes they end not so graciously.
Yes,
And
that
you
is
just
true.
have to, again, learn the lesson, let it go, not let
Yeah.
it fester, process it, yes. And know that if you ever love that person,
Yeah.
there will always be love there.
Always.
And move on graciously.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the door is left open and sometimes it's closed.
Yes. Sometimes it's closed.
But
Sometimes I might leave it open a little bit. That don't mean it might not close sometimes 'cause I get in my feelings, but I might open it up again. So once again, a season and a reason, right?
yeah.
So
Well, thank you for joining us on this
yes.
episode of the Bachelor Breakdown.
Yes.
We will see you next month with a new episode. And until next time, do you, be you. Love
Love
you. Mwah. Bye.